people of the tube. Hope you're well today. Hope you're feeling grand as well in your world. Hi there. Welcome to another episode of How to Play Like John Frusciante. And today I will be teaching you one of my favourite Mr. John songs, Central, off the album The Empyrean, which means highest heaven, which is where John's music takes me, and I'm sure it takes a lot of you too. But Central is one of those songs that I've always loved. It's one of those standout tracks to me on the Empyrean. So I thought today, I would teach you my kind of arrangement of it, so to say, so you can kind of go away and play it. I am going to be teaching some of the guitar solo, not all of it. I want to teach you the intro, and then at the end, I'm going to kind of like when I get to teaching the solo later on in the video, I'm going to do it kind of like in sequence, so to say. So I'll teach like the first verse, the chorus, second verse, so on and so forth. When I get to the solo at the end, I will teach the intro to the solo, what you heard at the beginning of the video and all that lot, but after a certain point I'm going to show you the notes that work, and I want you to go away and work on your own kind of solo at the end to finish the song off, basically. So that's what I'll be doing there, but I will be kind of like teaching the intro to the solo, because I think that's kind of like key to it. But towards the end, Johnny's just literally just going off on one, so I think it's kind of cool to go off on one yourself with your own kind of ideas, so to say. So, yeah, without further ado, I'm going to use my white Strat today, going through the CL120 and pedals galore. One thing I will say for Central, especially kind of my little thingy, is you need either delay or reverb pedal, or the ability to turn them, off and on. Both is a kind of like a bonus, but if you've only got one, then that's totally fine, as we'll get to in a bit, and I'll talk about that when I get to it. But it's mainly neck pickup on a Strat. The guitar solo, I remember hearing an interview with John. He said he doesn't remember if he used an SG or a Strat on the solo. He thinks it was an SG. There was an interview with him about the Empyrean, and he thinks it was his SG that he used on the solo for Central, but he doesn't actually remember. Also, Johnny Marr played on this track, and you can hear him plinking away in the background with these really cool bits, but I can't figure that kind of thing out. So I'm just going to stick with the basics of the song. So, without further ado, let's get to Central! Okie dokie, so let's get going with John Frusciante's song Central. So, first things first, first verse. It comes in straight away with John singing into the first verse. Neck pickup. The first chord is an A minor. So A string open. Your middle finger wants to be on the second fret on the D string. Your ring finger wants to be on the second fret on the G string, and your first finger wants to be on the first fret on the B string. So that's our first chord. A minor. Then it goes to a C major. So from this shape, from the A minor shape, take your ring finger, take it off, and put it on the third fret on the A string, and leave those two fingers exactly where they are for the A minor. So you're only moving one finger. Then you've got your C major. Next chord is an F major, and you can do this one or two ways. You don't have to do the bass note if you don't, if you can't get your thumb over top, don't worry about the bass note. But the full chord is this: thumb over the top on the first fret on the low E, ring finger on the third fret on the A, little finger on the D string on the third fret. Middle finger wants to be on the second fret on the G string, and your first finger wants to bar the B and the high E on the first fret. So it'd be A minor, C major, F major. But if you can't do this full chord, simply do this one. Ring finger on the third fret on the D, middle finger on the second fret on the G, and first finger on the first fret on the B. So it's just three notes. So you get that. And make sure you don't play your E, A and high E strings when you play the F. Just play those 3 strings. And if you can kind of like put your thumb over the top to mute the low E string and maybe use your ring finger to kill the A string, you can strum all the strings and get, because it's you know the verse, sorry, to central, it's all strummed. So A minor, C, full F, or mini F. Mini F. Mini F. Sounds like a ice lolly to me. Anyway, and then your last chord is a D minor. So basically, from your F shape, if from F, you're doing this chord now, D minor. So E and A string aren't played; those 2 strings are dead. Open D string. Your middle finger wants to be on the 2nd fret on the G string. Your ring finger wants to be on the 3rd fret on the B, and your first finger wants to be on the 1st fret on the high E. So no E and A strings, forget them, they're dead, you need to kill them, either with your thumb or literally just don't play them, kind of like, you know, use your right hand and just strum from a D string down, and that's that. So that's the whole verse to central. So you got A minor, in which you don't play the low E string, so forget the low E string. You play all the others. And then C major, again, not playing the low E string. Then you got your F, and then you got your D minor. And the strumming pattern is this. Really slow. Okay, so that's the first verse of Central. So at the end of the first verse of Central, what John does, he actually holds on the D minor for longer. Whereas it kind of would normally go back to the A minor, John actually holds on the D minor. So it goes like this, just before the chorus. I'll try and do it slow. So I'll do it one more time. So you can hear it just holds that little bit longer on that D minor coming into the chorus. So that's the full verse 1 of Central, and it's just a clean-ish, kind of, as we know John's clean isn't super clean, but net pickup, super kind of like cleanish John kind of sound, nice strumming of the open chords, nice loose right hand. No, you're not really hitting the guitar really hard, just nice and kind of evenly. You know, so you just get a nice kind of flow, because this song needs to flow. It's kind of a staple thing of John is for everything to flow, so to say. So that's verse 1. Let's move on to chorus now. Okay, so the chorus changes from, well, from what I can hear, changes from just doing open chords to doing kind of more kind of like bar chords, power chordy kind of things. But you can do it in open chords as well. I will teach both. Excuse me. Ah! That's that cup of tea coming back. No, stay down, damn you. Anyway, so first chord of the chorus is our F major again, and I'll do the small one, but I'm going to add the bass note. So that's the first chord of the chorus, is our F. And I say I'm adding the bass note. You don't have to add the bass note, you can just do those 3 strings. You know, D, G, and B. So that's the first chord. The second chord is a C major again, but it's down here this time. So if I was to do it John's way, what would happen is you'd put your first finger on the 3rd fret on the A string, and that would be killing the low E string. So low E string is not played. and then I would use my ring finger to bar the D, G and B strings. That would be my C major. So from that to the C, and then I go to a D minor again, which is not there this time, it's here. So first, again, low E string not played, first finger on the 5th fret on the A, ring finger wants to be on the 7th fret on the D, little finger 7th fret G, and your middle finger wants to be on the 6th fret on the B. And you're not playing either E strings, the high E and the low E are not played, so they both want to be dead. So it's F major, C major, I'm going to call that the C major John, and the D minor. And again, all this stuff kind of, all this kind of playing is all kind of done with your thumb over the top, but you can do it without. But I can guarantee any amount of money that John would have played it with his thumb over the top. And if you notice, it's actually the scar tissue chorus. You use that progression a lot, so which is really cool actually. But it's a great progression, so you can't really go wrong. So first time around the chorus, F, C, John, and D minor. And then the next time around, we do the exact same thing. But when we get to the D, it stabs. It's dun, 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 which is D minor, F major again. And then we go to an A minor, which is, well, I'm using my thumb again. If you can't use your thumb, always substitute my thumb for your first finger. So it's like that instead of this. Just so you know, it's kind of like, if I'm using my thumb, because that's just what's comfortable to me, if you can't, always substitute that for your first finger. So it's kind of like, if I've got my thumb on a low E string and you can't do that, use your first finger instead. So, where are we? Second part of the chorus. Yeah, when you hit the D, you hit the D once. Hit the F major once. A minor next, which is thumb on the 5th fret on the low E. Ring finger on the 7th fret A, little finger on the 7th fret D, and then first finger barring the G, B and high E strings on the 5th fret. So that's the next chord. So from the D, it's hit the D once, F once, A minor once, and then go to your C major John chord on the 3rd fret on the starting A string, and then you go to your finish up on your D minor again. So it's F, A, C, D. And you can kind of hear that these chords sound different to the verse chords. They've got a bit more of control, so to say. They're not as kind of big and as released, if you will, as the open chords in the verse, so to say. Okay, so the whole thing so far in the chorus is this. One more time. I'll try and do it slow actually. Slow down, Dave. Pull it back. Jimi Hendrix chord crept in there. I'm kind of going between the two, but anyway, regardless of that, that's the chorus. That's the whole chorus, and it loops that twice basically. It kind of goes. Hold on that D, and then you go around one more time. And then we're going to verse 2, which I'll show you what I've got kind of what I play for verse 2, because there's this kind of like weird, kind of like long drawn out, reverbed up, delayed kind of note, and it's really, really cool to play it. So now we need distortion for verse 2. But yeah, I hope that covers the chorus anyway. So far, actually let's play the whole thing so far. Okay, so I'll try and play it slow. I'll play to the verse and then to the chorus. Into verse 2. Okay, so I hope this is making sense so far to what's going on. So in verse 2, like I said, there's this kind of really nice kind of drone kind of guitar part, and it sounds a lot like this. If I put reverb on and put my DS2 on, it goes. That's what I'm going to teach here. So as soon as you come out of that chorus, stand on your either reverb or you need quite a big delay. I would say more reverb for this bit actually. Stand on your reverb. If it's on your amp, engage it on your amp, or if it's on a pedal, engage it on a pedal. It's not kind of required, but it does make it sound a bit more like the album, because it's very, very kind of like, spacey sounding. So you stamp on that as soon as you kind of like get into, as soon as it starts verse 2, and the first note you want to be is the 2nd fret on the G string, and you want to kind of sustain that. You can kind of feel and hear how long it needs to sustain for, and then you slide up to your 9th fret on the same string, and then you bend that 9th fret on the G string up a half tone to the 10th fret basically, like that, and then you go down to the 15th fret on your B string and bend that up a tone to the 17th fret note, and then release it back down to the 15th fret note. So and that's the first phrase. So start off on the 2nd fret G string, slide up to the 9th fret G string, bend up, and when you add distortion into it, you kind of like, because it's got the sustain, you can kind of really let it kind of ring. And don't worry about kind of hitting other strings and it kind of like distressing the note, kind of so to say, because that's really quite, it adds to it a lot, and letting the notes kind of almost go into feedback is kind of a key to this as well. So that's the first phrase. The next phrase is exactly the same thing again, but you just stay on the 15th fret. You don't bend up the 15th fret on the B string up. You just hit it, and it goes round twice. You do these two phrases twice, so it's basically kind of like 4 times, if you will. So the whole thing, just clean actually. I'll do it clean first, and then I'll shove a distortion on a reverb and let you hear it that way. So the whole thing so far is this. So that's the whole phrase, and you want to be doing that twice. And what I would kind of recommend is you play the you hit the G string on that note on the 2nd fret on the G there, and then when you slide, just let the distortion play that note for you. And I'll show you what I mean in a sec. But just don't play again, and then don't play, bend that up, and then next time you actually hit a string is when you hit the B string on the 15th fret. So if I put my DS2 on again, I'll show you what I mean. So hitting the G string a 2nd fret, hopefully you can kind of see what I mean there. So I'm hitting that note. I'm not hitting this string at all. I'm not hitting that bend. I'm hitting the next note I actually pick with my plectrum is the 15th fret on the B string. And I say when you add reverb to it, it sounds absolutely really. It's just the genius of John Frusciante. That's what it is. And I'll leave it up to you really, kind of like, you know, which notes you want to play, but that's what I would kind of recommend is just kind of like letting the distortion and the feedback take it, and just try and learn to kind of control the note, so to say, by just shaking the string. But so that's verse 1, that's the chorus first time, that's the second verse, and then you go back into the chorus again. It's exactly the same, it doesn't change. So chorus 2 is exactly the same, but you need to turn off your reverb and your distortion to get back into it. So that's basically that for the time being. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to shorten it. I'm going to play 2 of the first verse, 2 of the chorus, the long drawn out note, just kind of like twice, just to kind of like shorten it down. And then I'm going to play 2 of the chorus, and then we're into the outro, part 1. Okay, I'll try and do it as slow as I can, just so you kind of, if you're playing along, you can kind of get a grasp of it. Oh, and by the way, it's just in standard tuning, this song, so there's no trickery in the tuning. Distortion off for the next bit. So on and so forth. Hopefully you kind of hear where we're going with that. So that's the whole thing so far. That's verse 1, that's chorus 1, that's the second verse with the long drawn out nice bit. What I would say to come out of verse 2, where you've got loads of reverb on your guitar, is I would say turn your distortion pedal off first, and then turn your reverb off second, because it buys you that little bit of time to kind of get back into it, so to say. It kind of just gives you that little bit of breathing space. Coming into that bit, I would say once you hit the D in the chorus, the last couple of strums you want to be kicking on your reverb first, and as soon as that verse rolls in, you want to be hitting the distortion. So like this. Hopefully you kind of see what I mean there, and coming out of that bit. 1, 2, 3, distortion off. Because basically the reverb will sustain that longer. If you turn your reverb off first, it won't sustain. So you get that kind of gap, whereas, like I say, if you got the reverb on, distortion off, it buys you out a little bit of breathing time just to kind of click your distortion, to kick your reverb off and be back to your clean kind of signal, so to say, for the chorus 2. Okay, so yeah, that's it all. So let's talk about the outro now. This is kind of like, this is where things get complex. It's been fairly simple up to this point. This is where things get a bit more involved. Okay, so after chorus 2, I would recommend you don't play at all. After it kind of... and then just stop playing. And the chord progression after that is A minor, G and F, which I'll show you in a sec. But just let it go round the whole structure once. And the whole structure once is A, G, F, A, G, F, A, G, F, D minor. So it basically goes around those three chords 3 times and then it ends on a D minor. And then once that has gone around 1 time, you want to come back in with your guitar again and play along. It just gives it kind of like, it's very quiet that bit and it drops off from the chorus, so you don't want to be playing at all into that kind of like that first part of the outro. You know, outro part 1, you don't want to be playing at all. Just literally after that second chorus, stop. And then join in again after that's been around one time of its kind of like structure, so to say. So the outro chords don't change. It's very, very simple. A minor, same shape as what we used earlier. Again, no low E string. The next chord is G major, and it's an open chord. So your middle finger wants to be on the 3rd fret on the low E. First finger wants to be on the 2nd fret on the A string. I don't know what strings I'm doing. D string and G string open, and then your ring finger and your little finger will be on the 2nd fret on the B and high E strings. And then your last chord is an F major, which we already know. Ugh, not that note. And obviously we know the D minor as well. So the outro is A, G, F. And you play those chords 3 times around, so that's once, twice, 3 times, and then you go to your D minor. So that's kind of like one time around that entire structure. So yeah, first part of the outro, don't play at all. You can kind of hear it in the track anyway. It's very, very quiet there. Let that go around one time, and then come in after that with your clean guitar. And the strumming pattern is this. Let's try and do it really. I might have to do it at full speed first and then slow it down. It goes like this. Trying really slow. Okay, so that's part 2 of the outro, as I kind of like would play it, so to say, and I would go around that twice only, and then everything drops out, totally drops out. You know, there's no drums, there's no nothing. So again, stop playing as soon as that kind of as soon as that kind of goes round. So out of the chorus, so you got this. Stop playing. Dun 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 dun. God, that's terrible. And then you come back playing. Just literally just kill the guitar. Whoa, no more playing there. And that's part 3. So that's part 1, you don't play, let it go around once, and then part 2 is you're playing your clean guitar twice through that structure, and then part 3 is you don't play anything and let it go around its structure twice. and you'll hear it's very, very calm and very, very relaxed. It's very, very, very quiet. So that's part 3. Part 4 is where we come back in, and this is we're going to require reverb again. Okay, dokie. So after it's gone around that structure twice, with us not playing in part 3, get to part 4 of the outro, which if you engage your reverb again, you want to be playing this, because it kind of does this kind of da-na, 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 da-na. It's just really, really cool. They're orchestral hits, but we can join in. So what you want to be doing first is an A minor, but in this kind of John Frusciante way. So your middle finger wants to be on the 5th fret on the low E, and then you want to be hitting the G string on the 5th fret as well. So low E string first, and then you hit your 5th fret on the G string. And then you go to your G major, which basically you leave your ring finger kind of where it is on the G string, and then you put your first finger on the 3rd fret on the low E, stuttery, and then you can slide your ring finger down to the 4th fret on the G string. So from that, and then we slide this shape down again, kind of 2 frets. So first finger ends up on the 1st fret, ring finger ends up on the 2nd fret on the G. So like. I say with reverb added, it sounds really cool. And to finish it, which is D minor, we're playing this one. Well, sorry, that's a mistake. It's that note there. Good gravy, Dave. I don't know. So you're basically playing a D octave. So you go down to your 5th fret on your A string, and then you play your 7th fret on your G. So the whole thing is this. So that's that. So that's the next section on this. That's kind of like part 4 of the outro. So they're kind of like you kind of doing the orchestral hits as well. You're kind of joining in, and I said the reverb just adds that kind of spaced out kind of sound, which is really, really cool. So so yeah, that's the first bit, and that goes around twice. So you do that twice. So that goes around twice. And then it's time for the fun parts. We part 5. I call it the long note, because there's just this kind of like, after it comes out of those orchestral hits and everything kind of comes back in with the bass doing power chords and the drums come back in, you hear this kind of like this one long note there, and this is where it's fun, because you leave your reverb on full whack, and you just kick in your DS2 or your distortion pedal and let it feed back on that note if you can. And if it starts to go into feedback, that's cool, as long as it's kind of in key and doesn't go crazy. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so coming out of that bit. Nice note. And he's like, you gotta feel your lines, you gotta feel your lines. Kick on distortion. And it's always preferable to hit the right note, isn't it, Dave? 9th fret on the G string. And basically just hold that note for literally as long as you can. Yeah, really kind of simple, and that's basically part 5 of this, and it goes around, the whole structure goes around once. So over the A, G and F structure to the D minor, you just hold that note on for those 4 kind of passes, so to say. Okay, so the whole thing after that bit is this. One more time. Twice round, and then once it comes back in again, you go to your 9th fret on a G string, kicking distortion. You can kind of hear the song going on in the background, and that's basically that next bit. You're just holding that note, just hoping and praying it's going to feed back on the right note. And towards the end, you want to include the octave, so it's really good if you can kind of hit that note with your first finger and let it sing out with the first finger, and towards the end of that long note you want to add in the octave, which is 12th fret on the high E, so like this. Literally right at the very end of that, and it brings it back into part 6, which is this really lovely melody line, which you'll know what I mean when I play it. Basically, we're at the part you heard at the beginning of the video now. It's actually quite far into the song, like gravy. Okay, so yeah, after that we get to this. Yeah, we get to this bit. Which I will teach you now. Okay, so after that big long note, you've included the next octave up, the high octave. You play this melody. Turn the reverb off. Which is 12th fret high E. Then you go to your 15th fret B, 13th fret B, 12th fret B, and then you finish up on the 14th fret on the G. And then repeat. Okay, that's it. That's the melody line. It's a gorgeous melody. How it fits to the chords is just, it's just gorgeous. So. And then once you get to the 12th fret on your B, the third time around, you go, 15th fret on your B string, 13th fret on the high E, and then you finish up on the 17th fret on the high E. So, the whole melody line, and then you do this. 15th fret B, 13th fret high E, 17th fret high E. And that's basically the end of the melody line, and we're coming into the solo now. And over the top of this is just, if you don't want to do the solo, it's just that same progression, A minor, G, and F, and ending on the D, and just looping and looping and looping. And it's a really cool progression and order to kind of like have on a looper pedal if you kind of want to learn this song as well, because it's just really nice to kind of mess around over. It's in the key of A minor now, so well, the whole song's in key of A minor, but yeah, we're just sticking to A minor now. It's really, really cool progression just to mess around with and play around with and create really nice kind of melody lines. So, guitar solo. Let's start with this, shall we? Okie dokie, so after the... You hold that note for a little bit, and the guitar solo comes in kind of off beat, so to say. So it's kind of like... You start the guitar solo when the chord progression goes to the G, so it's on the second chord of a progression. So you don't, on the A, you're just kind of holding this 17th fret high E, and then it goes dun 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 dun. When it goes to the G, you do, which is the start of a guitar solo. So the start of a guitar solo is the 14th fret and the G, and you pull off to the 12th fret G, and then you go back to your 14th fret G, bend up a tone, release it, and then you go back to your 12th fret and hammer onto the 14th. So the whole thing really slow. One more time. I'll try and do it Django Reinhardt style so my fingers don't kind of clutter and get in the way. So. And one more time. So that's the first phrase. The second phrase is we bend up the 15th fret on the B string, and John kind of like gets this kind of distressed kind of sound. I think he's hitting the G string as well, like that. He's kind of like getting an extra note, but it's not necessary. You don't need to. But you're bending up the 15th fret on your B string twice, a tone to the 17th fret note, and then you release the bend. Pull off to the 13th fret on your B, and then you finish up on your 14th fret on your G. So the whole thing so far is this. So one more time. There's also something I forgot to mention. I do apologise. I'm going to have to backtrack a little smidgen, and so I do apologise about this quickly. But after you get your fade octaves and your big long note where you've got your reverb on, keep the reverb on for the melody line. That it just makes it it flows better with the song. But as soon as you hit that 15th fret, the 17th fret on your high E, just before the solo starts, turn your reverb off, and you want the guitar solo without reverb. So kind of like this. If you go from a long note, kind of hear when the reverb went away there. And there's also, it's really good to slide into that melody line, and then also that bit, slide to the 17th fret from the 15. Sorry about this, I'm missing bits out, but I'm glad I'm getting them in. I'm remembering as I play it. But okay, so back to the guitar side. Okay, so after this bit, we've got this bit, and you can hear John's digging in really hard here. So you're playing your 14th fret on your G string, and then you go down to your 13th fret B, 15th fret B, and then you bend up the 15th fret, just to a tone, so basically to the 17th fret, and then you go back to your 13th fret on the B, and then you hammer on to the 15th fret on your B. Oh, you actually play the 13th fret on the B string once before you do the hammer on. So 14th on the G, 13th on the B, 15th fret, bend up, play the 13th fret on the B, and then hammer on from the 13th to the 15th on the B. and then you slide up to the 17th fret on the high E. Like that. So the whole thing so far really slow is this. Okay, so this is the whole thing so far. So one more time. And you kind of slide to that 17th fret from anywhere, you know, from really high or just from a 15th. I think John slides from a 15th, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so that's it, and then the next bit is really good fun. Okay, so once we've slid up to the 17th fret on the high, you bend up, you go to your G string and you bend up your 16th fret a half tone, so basically just to the 17th fret now. Like that. Like that. So, where are we? And we bend up twice, release, and end up on the 14th fret on your G string. One more time. So from a slide to the 17th fret. And then you do this, which is really cool. So you put your first finger on the 12th fret, and then you hammer on to the 14th fret on your G, and then you hammer on again. So you basically just plucking the string once, hammer on to the 14th, and then hammer again with your ring finger to the 16th. It's a bit of a stretch, and then you pull those two fingers off. So hammer on, pull off, and then hammer on again from the 12th to the 14th on the G. And it's really fast. So so the whole thing so far, kind of to speed, is this. Trying to do it really slow now. Getting sweaty hands, I tells you. No, easy, tiger. Skin got in the way. Need less skin. What? I did it again. Okay, so you do that bit twice, and then you pull off between the 14th and the 12th on the G string, and then you go to your D string, 12th fret, hammer on to the 14th fret, and then you hammer on to go back to your G string and hammer on from the 12th to the 14th fret. So really slow, it's like this. I'm getting kind of half a diddly dum in there as well. Hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. If I'm missing something out, I do apologise, but hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. If I do miss something out, you can kind of see it. So. Now you do that again. And you'll have to listen to the timing for them, how they come in. You can kind of do them kind of any way you want, but John's timing is kind of like, it's really, really cool how he fits them in, but really, really cool. So the whole thing so far, guitar solo is... And then we slide up to the 17th fret on the B, from the 15th fret on the B to the 17th fret. And we hold that, and then we do this, which is 17th fret B, and then we go to the 15th fret high E, and we alternate between those two notes. So high E first, B, high E, B, like that. And it's best to take your fingers off to mute the note as well. If you kind of leave them on, they clash, and you don't really want that, especially not with distortion. It sounds awful. You know, it sounds terrible. So you want to kind of lift your fingers off like that. Sounds like a siren. So then we slide from the 15th fret on the high E to the 70th fret high E. So. And you can kind of hear in the recording how many times it is. And once we've slid up to that 17th fret on the high E, we bend up the 19th fret on the high E, half a step, basically to the 20th fret. And then we release the bend, and then resolve back to the 17th fret on the high. So, I got trapped in it then. Doing that forever and ever and ever, like some kind of weird roundabout. So the whole thing so far is, I'll try and do it slow. So that's the whole guitar solo so far, and then we shoot all the way back up here for the next part. Okay, so the next part is, once we've done the, we go here to the, where are you going, guitar? 7th fret on the G string, and we bend it up a tone, release it, and go finish up on the 5th fret on the G. So it's basically the same kind of thing. Actually, I think it's a half step. Yeah, it is, sorry, it's a half step bend. So it's not, it's... So from that, so bend up 7th fret G, release to the 5th fret on the G, and then we slide to, from the 7th fret on the G to the 9th fret on the G, and then we go to the high on the 8th fret, and then we go to the 10th fret on the B. So, Okay, Okay, so this is kind of literally where you can kind of start doing your own thing. And I'm going to show you how you can kind of do that. John kind of sticks down this low end for a little bit before he comes back up the high end. And he kind of does something like this. Which is basically just coming out of your A minor pentatonic scale. So A minor pentatonic scale, 5th fret low E, 8th fret low E, 5th fret A, 7th fret D, A, 5th fret D, 7th fret D, G string on the 5th fret, G string on the 7th fret, B string on the 5th fret, B string on the 8th fret, high E string 5th fret, and high E string on the 7th fret. Now I have no idea why I did it with my hand over the top. But yeah, that's the scale. Any of those notes will work into this progression here. So and it's really cool to kind of like incorporate that bend again. And you can kind of mess around with that to your heart's content. And then you can kind of shoot up this top end. And it might sound lazy, me trying to get you to kind of like do your own thing, but I feel it's really, really important to kind of like get into that kind of improvisational thing that John does, where he just he just solos over things. Never overplay though. That is kind of one thing to kind of I want to kind of really stress in this song, is you don't want to be overplaying. You don't want to be kind of like literally just kind of going. You don't want to be doing that kind of thing. You want to be getting like little melody lines, and there's certain little phrases I'll show you in a minute that you can incorporate, that John incorporates, but you can kind of put them in wherever you want, really. So where are we? Yeah. So so use this first kind of section here. So use that A minor pentatonic scale I just showed you, and then once you're kind of done there, you can move back up here, and I'm going to show you all the notes that'll work on your, stick to your G, B and high E, and I'm going to show you all the notes that'll work to create a solo, and I'll show you which ones you can bend to create your own solo here. And it's best if you kind of stick to your neck pickup. Most of the song is neck pickup, really. You want to be kind of sticking with that. You don't really want to be coming off that, going to the bridge or anything like that, really. So it's neck pickup. So let me show you all the notes you can use on the G, B and high E strings to create your own solo for central. Okay, so if we start on the G string, you can use 12th fret G, 14th fret G, 16th fret G, 17th fret G, 19th fret G, and 21st G. So that one. And then on the B string, you can use the 12th fret B, 13th fret B, 15th fret B, 17th fret B, 18th fret B, and 20th fret on the B string. So now on the high E string, pretty much exactly the same as the B, but it's a little bit a couple of different notes. High E string 12th fret, high E string 13th, high E string 15th, high E string 17th, high E string 19th, high E string 20th. And it's just that's just like a major scale. So these are all the notes you can use. And you're going to get some repeating notes in there, but they've all got different tonalities you can use. So once you've got... you can kind of come back up here, and you can kind of start by going... So that kind of thing, and you can also just go mad. So you can bend up your 15th fret on your B string. And you can incorporate some of these little licks, John licks we've already learned back into the solo. And you can also do these half step bends, which John does a lot, which would be on the high E string on the 19th. And you can also bend up your, 20th 20th fret on the B string. And you can also bend up, you can half step bend your 12th fret on your B and your E. I don't want to overload you. I'm worried I'm overloading a bit here and going a bit crazy. But let me give you an example. If I just kind of quickly loop this progression, I'll show you. Okay, kind of. So after the, I'm going to show you kind of like, you know, just give you an idea of what you can do. I'm going to stick to clean, and I'm going to try and kind of just, I'm going to improvise some bits that hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing and take them for your own and hopefully go from there. So the whole thing, yeah, so coming from this bit, we'll go from, let's do the whole solo. Kind of like, you know, you can't start incorporating some of those old, the earlier licks in there. There's one that he does is really cool, which is bends up the 15th fret on the B, and then he gets his little finger onto the high E on the 15th fret. So like that, he bends up, B string, 15th fret, 15th fret on the high, and then you play the B string again and release it. And then he goes slides from the 15th fret to the 17th, like that. And you can also do kind of like crazy kind of double stops like this, which is basically, you've got your ring finger on the 20th fret on your guitar, and your middle finger is bending up the G string, and your ring finger on the B string is not moving. And John does that a lot. He does this double stop a lot, and he can kind of resolve it, release it, go to the 17th fret on the G, and then finish up on the 19th fret on your D. So you can kind of like make your own kind of solos. Hopefully you can kind of hear what I mean there, but all those notes will work. I promise you they will all work. All those notes that I showed you. Maybe not the duff one I hit, but all those notes on the G, B and high E strings will work as to create your own solo for central. And I feel it's so important to kind of like be able to kind of like come up with your own thing. It's cool to follow him to an extent, but I think it's really important to kind of like find your own way and find your own kind of little solos as well, and your own little phrases. And the entire solo comes out of those notes anyway. So if you did want to sit down and figure out the rest, then you know you can. But it's so much cooler and so much nicer just to let go and come up with your own kind of thing. It's really, really cool. So that's the guitar solo. What I would recommend here is when John lets out his big scream, Rah! And he's really reverb before he starts singing again. I would stop guitar soloing at that point. As soon as you hear him scream, go to your chords again with distortion. So. Big, that's like the biggest part of the song right at the end, and it only goes through once until it fades out. And then what I would recommend you do is you stick your reverb or your delay on again and just kind of pick the chords. Or if you want to, you can do volume swells where you play the chord and roll the volume in. You can do either of them. So coming out of a distortion part, the end of central, and you can also do this at the end. Which is kind of like the melody line, and it's kind of tremolo picked. And what I mean by that is I'm just strumming the B and the E string. That's 10th fret on the B, and 8th fret on the high E, and then you go down to your 8th fret on the B, 7th fret on the high E, and then you go to your 5th fret on the B and E. So and you finish up on, which is a bit of a weird harmony, but trust me, it's there. 12th fret on the B and 10th fret on the high E. And when you add like reverb on it, it sounds really nice, especially if you can kind of like tremolo pick it. You don't have to tremolo pick it, you can just go. But with reverb it sounds really nice. And yeah, and that's central. Yeah. That's the entire song. That is the entire song of Central. Yeah, that's it. That is the entire song, front to back of Central, and that's kind of some of the guitar solo. Like I said, I don't want to teach the full guitar solo because I feel it, like I say, I do feel it's so important. I'm not trying to get out of it. I just feel it's important not to learn things. No, some things like the Central solo, the intro is important. Some of the rest of it isn't so important. You can kind of like stretch yourself. And some solos are like that, where you can just kind of like, do your own kind of thing, and I feel it's really important to kind of like get a handle on that. So showing you those notes in A minor that you can use and those bends you can use, and hopefully you can kind of see some of the things that I did and incorporate some of those John licks that he already does. You can kind of like come up with your own like little thing. Just spend some time with it. If you got a loop pedal, cool. If not, play along with the song. You can just kind of like just keep looping that end bit over and over and over again. But yeah, that's the whole song essentially. It's fairly straightforward. It's just the outro where it's kind of like quite involved. But it is pretty straightforward. It's like verse 1, chorus, verse 2, then a chorus, and then outro part 1 where you don't play and it goes round once. Part 2 of the outro you play for twice round, and then you stop again when it goes all quiet. Then you have your kind of like those intervals, which you can't hear because I just deadened it with a piece of paper. And then you've got the big long note, which is one of my favourite parts, where you just got that note feedback, and then you've got the melody line, and then you've got your guitar solo. And as soon as John screams, stop guitar soloing and just play those big power chords or play big open chords or whatever. And then basically just fade it out right back down again with reverb on to just either picking or doing volume swells, and then you can do that little melody line at the end if you so wish. And that's it. But it's kind of important to kind of like you know, just to think of when you're using the effects, like the, you know, distortion pedal for the big long note, and then it off, and then reverb and delay if you've got either one of them. I think I prefer reverb. Delay does work as well, but reverb's really nice, but it needs to be absolutely gunned. It needs to be flat out reverb. But yeah, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson anyway. I hope it's kind of like, you know, maybe gone through the song to an okay degree. I'm always afraid I've done it really bad and it's rubbish, and you know you've wasted people's time, Dave. But let me know what you think to this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it, and next couple of John Frusciante lessons, I want to focus on pedals and pedal use more so than actually kind of teaching songs. I want to kind of start focusing on like the DS2 and the Ibanez War and how to use them and the way John uses them. So that'll be the next John Frusciante lessons, and then I'll get back to teaching songs after that. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this lesson on how to play John Frusciante, song Central off the Empyrean, one of my favourite songs of all time, what John did, and I love it to bits. And thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope I've covered it okay for you. And yeah, I'll see you again very soon for another video. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening. Goodbye now. Have a great one.